But I did it, and it's at the back of the room, which I don't expect you all to be following it, but maybe I'll just use that for my guide, if that's okay with everyone. So my name is Heather Busby. I'm the Executive Director of NARAL Pro-Choice Texas, as Representative Davis told you earlier. A little bit about me: I have been in this movement for a long time, in particular working with women who want to access abortion services but are unable to do so, mostly through lack of funding. And I've worked through a private organization that raises the money to assist them. And over the years, I've heard every single story you can hear from women. And one thing I've learned about this movement is that when you think you've heard it all, you'll hear something new. And that's another thing that I found in my work in the domestic violence movement, is that when we make laws that apply to everyone and affect their personal lives, there's such a depth of experience that people live, and so that's where the harm comes in, when we're trying to basically say that everyone has the same experience when that's not true at all. So that's where I come into this. I come into this with the voices of women in my head, the many, many women I've spoken to, thousands over the years. So that's me. NARAL Pro-Choice Texas is an organization. We're nonpartisan. It's the political arm of the pro-choice movement. And Shelley, if you'll go on. Sorry, my assistant at the back of the room, Shelley. So we work to protect the rights of all people to make their own decisions regarding their reproduction, to decide whether, when, and how to parent. So we work for access to safe legal abortion, and we also fight for the full range of family planning available to everyone in the state. We advocate for responsible, medically accurate, comprehensive sexual education and the right of every person to make their own reproductive decisions. So the title of this talk was pro-choice or pro-life, but what I found in my experience as someone who's getting a lot older is that you can't always apply those labels. And as I've talked to people about this issue, a lot of people say to me, well, I'm pro-life, but I believe that women should make their own choice. Or I'm pro-life, but I think that the government should not have a say in this issue. I've heard, also people say, well, I'm pro-choice, but I have a problem with late-term abortion. And people fall all along the spectrum, and this is not an issue where you can really apply a label black and white. I think that is fairly rare in people's lives. It is something that's very nuanced because it is deeply, deeply personal. And so, that's why it needs to remain an individual decision, an individual right, because even those who identify as pro-life often feel that, well, closing clinics and making safe legal abortion unavailable is wrong. Or I'm pro-life, but I think everyone should have access to contraceptives. It's something that is very varied. Shall I just switch to the next slide, please? So I have a nice little story up there that you can't really read from the back, but I wanted to share it with you. So in the last couple of months, I received many stories from people emailing me, sending me their personal stories. And one of them really stood out, and I sat at my computer and cried because it really, really touched me. And so I wanted to share it because I think it's very relevant to the argument that you can't really apply those labels and that this issue is very complex. So there's a woman who I'll call Jane to protect her confidentiality, wrote me. She said, I'm a mother of 4 young children and a widow. My husband John died 18 months ago in a horrible accident with no insurance. I was a stay-at-home mom who homeschooled her children. I only have a high school diploma. We aren't doing too good on my job as a nurse's aide. It's hard, tiring work. I'm on my feet all day. My folks are gone, and I have no family support. A few months ago, a friend of John's from high school came by to offer his condolences on my loss. He started coming by more often, and one night I gave in to desire. I had been so lonely for so long. I mostly just wanted to be held. It went further than that. After that night, his visits suddenly stopped, and I haven't seen him since. He won't return my calls, and I don't even know where he lives or his last name. I'm pregnant. I've got an appointment next week. I have to drive 300 miles, and I have to stay the night because there's a waiting period. It's going to be very expensive. I sold my wedding ring and some of John's tools. I've always been pro-life because that's what I was taught. I can't have this baby. How do I work if I'm pregnant? We barely eat now. How do I buy diapers and formula too? I know myself too well. I could never do adoption. I know I will go through this. I know I will go through with this because it's what's best for the children that I already have. I see no other way. I understand now the importance of abortions being safe, legal, and available. I wish that clinic was still in my town, the one I used to protest at with my church group. I was wrong. I'm sorry. I would never have thought in a million years that I would have an abortion. I'm having an abortion now, not because I want one, but because my family and I need one. So you can see how deeply personal and private this decision is. Even someone who their whole life thinks that it's wrong and thinks that they would never go through with it, until you're in that position, you don't know. Even someone who identifies as pro-choice may find themselves with an unplanned pregnancy and feel very strongly that they want to continue no matter what the odds are. So it's something that each person should have the right to decide for themselves. You know, the government should stay out. Politicians are not your doctor, and they should not interfere with the doctor-patient relationship to the level that they are here in Texas today. Every one of us should have the freedom to make medical decisions that are best for us, our families, and our bodies. And we should get to decide what happens to our bodies, what kind of family we want in our lives, and what is best for our health. And if the right to make these decisions is taken away from you, who is deciding for you? I wanted to touch on religious freedom a bit, and I think that's very important given my colleague's assertion that human rights and humanity begins at fertilization. Because among major religions, that differs widely. So, ask yourself, what do the major religions say about abortion? And if there's one religious viewpoint that's going to dominate, which one shall it be? And if that dominant religious viewpoint differs and infringes upon your own beliefs, what does that mean for you? So on the slideshow, I just posted some examples of the variety of different faiths and their beliefs. So very quickly, National Association of Evangelicals is opposed to abortion, but states that there are situations in which terminating a pregnancy is warranted, such as preserving the life of the mother, rape, or incest. United Church of Christ is a firm advocate for reproductive rights, including the right to safe abortion. Hinduism has a do no harm approach, and traditional Hindu teachings condemn abortions because it violates the teachings of nonviolence. Judaism has especially among the different types of Judaism, has different teachings, but it generally believes in safeguarding the life and well-being of a mother. American Baptist churches encourages couples to seek spiritual counsel as they prayerfully and conscientiously consider their decision. Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Islam, Hinduism, I have all these different examples. I'm not going to bore you through reading every one of them. But the point I want to make is that among the different faiths, and even within those various faiths, there are different religious viewpoints. Some believe that life does begin at fertilization, but others don't. So if we legislate that life begins at fertilization, what about the faiths that don't believe that? Where is their religious freedom in that? So I looked up some libertarian views on abortion. Based on the title of this event, I saw that the Libertarian Party platform basically leaves it out. They think the government should stay out of the matter and leave the question to each individual. And I'm going to feel like I might be running a long time. No, I'm good? Okay. So the question I want to ask is, why don't we trust women to make this decision? I've heard a lot of rhetoric that speaks to me as a deep distrust of women and their ability to make responsible adult choices. I've heard a lot of misogyny in the debates, and a lot of shaming of women, as if women get pregnant all by themselves and men aren't playing a role in that action. So I wanted to touch on a bit of some of the reasons why women choose abortion, and these quotes come from the women that I've spoken to over the years. It's a very, very small sampling. But many women choose this because, maybe their husband left them and they have children they need to support. I've heard a lot of women who make this decision because of a domestic violence situation. One story sticks out in my mind of a woman who told me about her son who she decided to leave her abusive husband because her young son was growing up to be a mini abuser. He was mimicking his father, telling her that she was stupid and ugly. She was pregnant and she couldn't leave him if she had another child with him. So she felt that that was the best decision for her and her son. I've talked to many parents over the years, grandmas, aunts, uncles, of young girls who find themselves pregnant. The other day, a woman called my office and she said, my daughter's 15, she already has one child, she can't have another one. A lot of people try to have responsible sex, but the birth control fails. Condoms break. And, a lot of people choose abortion because they want to fulfill their lives and their dreams. And sometimes it's for health reasons. If you're diagnosed with cancer, you may have to choose between getting chemotherapy and living, or terminating the pregnancy, going through with your treatment, and having the possibility of having a child down the line. So I included some statistics in my slideshow, super policy nerdy. But the point I wanted to make with these slides, in general, there are a lot of stats there about child abuse. We need to take care of the children we have today. I think that is what pro-life should be about, is caring and making sure that every child has a good quality of life. I would like to point out that Texas ranks the second highest number of uninsured children in the nation, 7th in the nation for the highest percentage of children living in poverty. We have the 4th highest teen birth rate and the very highest in the nation of repeat teen pregnancies. And we're 50th, dead last, in women receiving prenatal care in the first trimester of pregnancy. So we have a long way to go. I just wanted to also point out really quickly that prevention is key, and we're falling far short on contraceptives. Texas currently ranks 36th in the percentage of women whose needs were met when seeking contraceptives, and I believe that number will continue to decline as more and more family planning clinics close around the state. I'm going to wrap it up because I'm almost out, looks like. I went way overboard with my slideshow, sorry. But, to conclude, I want to say that this is a deeply personal, nuanced issue that can't be decided in black and white terms. The decision to parent is something that we should not take lightly. Pregnancy is not something that's easy for a lot of women. I've talked to women who had to go on bed rest, go into the hospital, had their normal day-to-day lives severely compromised by being pregnant. These are women who wanted to carry to term. Imagine that you're a woman who would lose your job because it's an hourly job, and you don't have health care, and you can't support the children that you have already. What are those women, when they make the choice and decide that this is the best decision for them, who are we to say we're not living their lives? And I also wanted to reiterate that religious viewpoints on this issue are varied, and when one religion dominates the other, it threatens the religious liberty of all of us. So, in summary, government should not be involved in these personal, private decisions. Thank you very much.